Okay, what's up mga kuya? Welcome back to the channel, and people are getting too obsessed or too hung up with high megapixel count in their smartphone cameras. And this video was actually brought up by the recent launch of Poco, specifically with the Poco X3 Pro. So in that live stream when Poco was talking about the cameras on the Poco X3 Pro, as we all know, the Poco X3 Pro now has a 48 megapixel main sensor as compared to the 64 megapixel sensor on the original Poco X3 NFC. And I actually read in the comments that there were a lot of people who were displeased and disappointed at Poco for giving the Poco X3 a camera downgrade because it has a lower megapixel count as compared to the original Poco X3 NFC again. And I guess companies are partially to blame for this, why consumers have this mindset of higher megapixel count, better image quality, and that's not the case 99% of the time. And this high megapixel counting with smartphones actually started way back in 2013 with the Nokia Lumia 1020 with a 41 megapixel sensor. And for the past couple of years has become mainstream, starting with the Honor V20, the world's first smartphone with a 48 megapixel sensor. And fast forward to today, you can now buy a budget smartphone that's legit, just a little over $100 with a 48 megapixel sensor. And I think not a lot of people know this. So if you take a picture in the default photo mode of a smartphone camera with a 48, even up to a 108 megapixel sensor, you're just effectively taking 12 megapixel shots. Okay, so let's say that you have a Poco M3. So this has a 48 megapixel main sensor. So go ahead and pause this video, take a quick picture in the default photo mode without messing with the settings, and take a look at the resolution of the picture you just took. It's 4000 by 3000. And if you didn't know this, 1 megapixel is equals to 1 million pixels. So you're effectively taking 12 million pixels or 12 megapixel shots with your 48 megapixel camera. And you might actually be thinking right now, like, wait, so 48 megapixels is a scam? No, there's actually a separate toggle for that in your camera settings to take full 48 megapixel pictures, leading to the question like, wait, so why don't companies just make it so you can take 48 megapixels and 108 megapixel pictures all the time? Well, there's two main reasons for that. So if you're going to take, for example, in my Xiaomi Redmi Note 10 Pro, full 108 megapixel pictures, then you need more data to process, leading to more processing time and leading to more power drawn out of your phone's processor and faster battery drain. But that's not even the worst part. So if you're taking pictures in the default photo mode on the Xiaomi Redmi Note 10 Pro, file sizes are usually between 5 to 9 megabytes. And if you're taking full 108 megapixel pictures, then that's gonna go up to around 20 megabytes. So more than double the file size of that 12 megapixel shot. And another reason why companies do this is that they use this thing called pixel binning. So I'm just going to explain pixel binning as simple as I can based from my understanding. So basically what pixel binning does is like they combine these smaller pixels into fewer larger pixels. So in some way you're actually retaining that 108 megapixel sharpness in a 12 megapixel shot. Hopefully that makes sense. And in turn you're getting way better low light performance and better dynamic range. And wait, what does having fewer and larger pixels have to do with low light performance? Okay, so picture this. So let's say you have these two sensors, one with 12 megapixels and one with 48 megapixels. So in one sensor, you're dividing it in 12 portions, giving you larger pixels. And on the other hand, you're dividing this sensor into 48 portions, so smaller pixels. And it's just common sense that you would be able to pass more light through the 12 megapixel sensor. So take a look at these two pictures that I took on the Xiaomi Redmi Note 10 Pro at night. So one in the default photo mode and one in the 108 megapixel mode. So aside from the blown highlights in the 108 megapixel shot, it looks like you're actually getting more detail in the default 12 megapixel shot. So more and smaller pixels struggle in low light. And the main reason why companies use pixel binning is actually quite simple. So they still want us to have this one-to-one quality with the picture you're taking to the monitor that you're gonna view this on, which based on today's standard is at most a 4K monitor. But if you are one of the few people with an 8K monitor already, then pampon. So just for reference, the resolution of 4K is 3840 by 2160. So ironically, these 12 megapixel pictures that you're taking by default is only viewed on a monitor with a little over 8 million pixels or 8.3 megapixels. And most likely the pictures that you're going to be taking on your smartphone is just going to be posted on social media, which greatly decreases the quality of the original picture. And at least on the video side, putting a 48 megapixel sensor on a smartphone that can't even shoot in 8K, let alone 4K for that matter, is kinda useless. And just another reference, the Red Monstro 8K, which is capable of recording 8K videos, has a 35.4 megapixel sensor. So again, 48 megapixels on a smartphone that can't even shoot in 4K for that matter is useless. And take note that the two best smartphone cameras out right now are the Google Pixel 5 and iPhone 12. The Pixel 5 for taking the best smartphone pictures has a 12.2 megapixel sensor, while the iPhone 12 for taking the best smartphone videos has a 12 megapixel sensor. And another one to add here is the Sony a7S III, which is like one of the best professional grade cameras, has a 12.1 megapixel sensor. And that costs almost 200,000 pesos. So what am I trying to say here? If you want great image quality on your smartphone camera, then there's two key things here: image processing and software. Of course, having a good sensor helps. That's why Google's Pixel devices and Apple's iPhones have been regarded as the best smartphone cameras for the past couple of years. They have great software and image processing in their smartphones, so yeah. Hopefully this video was able to educate and help you guys so you don't become obsessed with high megapixel count in your smartphone cameras. So watch a smartphone review first before buying a smartphone. And of course, the easiest way to support the channel is by leaving a like, consider subscribing, and as always, stay safe mga kuya. Thanks for watching and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace!